Your relentless pursuit of wealth is precisely why it forever eludes you. You wake at 5 a.m., dreading the emails, pushing late into the night. You stare at your bank balance, that familiar knot tightening, convinced more hustle is the only answer, even as your energy drains and your dreams collect dust on the shelf of someday. Your aching shoulders prove it. I once felt that same relentless pressure, chasing financial gain that always seemed just beyond reach. But by abandoning the external pursuit and embodying the feeling of wealth as an inner energetic state, I commanded a profound shift. Without lifting another finger of traditional hustle, I attracted an undeniable 20% increase in my income within 90 days, sourced from entirely unexpected channels. It wasn't magic, it was the absolute law of assumption. In this video, I will reveal the forbidden truth, why your exhausting pursuit of money is precisely what repels it. You will learn the exact energetic blueprint to effortlessly magnetize a consistent 20% increase in your income within 90 days, shifting from anxious struggle to unshakable abundance. Ignore this, and you are destined to spend decades chasing wealth that will always remain just out of your grasp, never understanding why. Now, let me show you exactly how this works. I promised you the secret to mastering your inner world, to effortlessly manifesting your deepest desires, and I always deliver on my word. We are about to embark on a journey through the 7 immutable principles that govern all creation. Each one builds upon the last, forming an unbroken chain of understanding that will transform your perception of reality and your place within it. By the end of our time together, you will possess not just theory, but the precise, actionable method to manifest your desires, seeing tangible results in 30 days or less. Pay absolute attention, for the first principle alone will redefine power as you know it. The very cornerstone of all creation, the bedrock upon which your entire reality is built, is what I call the law of assumption. It is not a suggestion, it is not a philosophy to ponder. It is the unwavering, immutable law that states, what you assume to be true, you bring into being. Your imagination is not some frivolous escape. It is the creative faculty of God within you. Whatever state you consistently occupy in imagination, whatever you feel to be true about yourself and your world, will inevitably externalize itself in your physical reality. This is not merely positive thinking. This is the understanding that the universe reflects your dominant assumptions, not your fervent wishes. Story-proof stack, let me share with you a profound experience that solidified this truth in my own life. It was 1948, and I was in New York, longing to return to my home in Barbados for the winter season. I had not been there in many years, and my family, particularly my father, was pressing me to come. The problem, however, was immense. I had no money for the fare, and to make matters more challenging, all the steamship passages were completely booked. There was not a single berth available for months. A lesser man might have given up, resigned to the facts, but I knew better. I understood the law of assumption. Every night, as I laid in my bed in New York, I would close my eyes, and, in imagination, I would assume I was already in Barbados. I didn't hope to be there, I felt myself to be there. I would imagine the warm, humid air of the island, the scent of the frangipani blossoms, the sounds of the tree frogs, and the feeling of my brother, Victor, greeting me at the docks. I would feel the joy of being home, the sun on my skin, the softness of the sand beneath my bare feet. I did this every single night, entering the feeling of Barbados as if it were my present reality, even though my physical body remained in New York. I persisted in this assumed feeling for 2 weeks. Then, a peculiar letter arrived from my family. My father, in his infinite generosity, had sent me the exact amount for the passage. But it was not just the money, it was the timing. The very next day, I received a call from a steamship agent, a man I had never contacted, informing me of a last-minute cancellation. A first-class passage was available for a ship departing in 3 days. I had assumed the feeling of being in Barbados, and the outer world, like a faithful servant, rearranged itself to match my inner conviction. Subconscious programming. Your subconscious mind operates without judgment. It cannot distinguish between an experience vividly imagined and an event physically lived. When you consistently assume a state, When you immerse yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, your subconscious accepts this as instruction. It begins to reorganize the unseen forces of your being, directing energy and synchronizing events in the outer world to align with that internal instruction. This is not magic in the common understanding. It is the mechanical operation of universal law. Your imagination is the creative force, and your subconscious is the fertile soil that brings forth whatever seed you plant within it. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is a seed, and the harvest is your experience. You are perpetually programming your reality, whether you are conscious of it or not. The key is to become conscious, deliberate in your planting. Contrast trap. Most men, when faced with a desire, merely wish for it. They articulate their desire, perhaps even pray for it, but their underlying assumption remains rooted in its absence. They say, "I want more money," but their subconscious assumption, reinforced by their current lack, is, "I do not have enough money." This creates a conflict, and the stronger, more deeply held assumption, the one rooted in current fact, always wins. But the man who understands this law knows that wishing is a futile endeavor unless it leads to a genuine assumption. He does not wish, he assumes. He bypasses the outer facts, goes directly to the end, and feels the reality of his wish fulfilled, living from that state now. He understands that his feeling of already having it is the only true proof required, and the world will conform. Let me ask you, truly, honestly, what if everything you've ever been taught about effort and struggle was a complete misunderstanding, and the true path to your desires lay not in strenuous striving, but in the simple, deliberate act of assumption? Hold that thought. This brings us to the second principle, inextricably linked to the first. Feeling is the secret. It is not enough to simply think about your desire, you must feel it. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the very language of the subconscious mind. Your logical, reasoning mind deals in words and concepts, but your deeper, creative mind responds only to the vibrations of emotion. A mere intellectual understanding of your desire will bear no fruit. It is the emotional charge, the vivid, sensory experience of having what you want now, that impregnates the subconscious and sets the creative process in motion. This feeling must be natural, not forced. It must be the spontaneous joy or relief or peace that comes from the certainty of possession. Story proof stack. I recall a time early in my teaching when I was struggling financially, and my family, particularly my father, was facing significant business challenges back in Barbados. My father, bless his soul, was a good man, but he was in a difficult situation, teetering on the edge of ruin. I desperately wanted to help him, but I was far away and had no material means to offer. I knew then that my physical limitations did not matter, only my imagination did. I applied this principle rigorously. Every night, I would close my eyes and imagine a scene that would imply his great success. I envisioned myself receiving a letter from him, a letter filled with joyous news, describing how wonderfully his business was. No longer battle thoughts, you choose your state. You feared, external circumstances are too powerful to overcome. But now you grasp that external circumstances are but shadows, mere reflections of your own inner state. You are the operant power. The outer has no power over you unless you give it. You thought, it takes too long. I need immediate results. I tell you that with consistent, feeling-based assumption, results can be startlingly swift, often within days, certainly within 30 days for those who persist with conviction. And finally, you wondered, what if I manifest something I don't want by mistake? The truth is, you are always manifesting based on your dominant assumptions. This teaching simply makes you conscious and deliberate, allowing you to choose your creation with precision, thereby eliminating unintended manifestations. Open loops closed. We opened with several questions, and now I will close them. You asked, what's the real reason people fail even after hearing my teachings? The real reason is a failure to truly assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. They intellectualize, they wish, they hope, but they do not feel themselves into the state of already having. They fail to persist in that feeling until it becomes natural. You also wondered, how does imagination creates reality actually work on a physical level? It works because your imagination, imbued with feeling, impresses your subconscious mind, which is the creative principle. Your subconscious then reorganizes the unseen forces and physical events to perfectly mirror that impression. The physical world is the effect, your imagination the cause. Is there a scientific explanation for this spiritual law? While science is still catching up to spiritual truth, modern physics hints at consciousness being fundamental to reality, and neuroscience shows how vivid imagination creates the same neural pathways as real experience. Your brain doesn't differentiate. As for what's the difference between wishful thinking and true assumption, wishful thinking holds the desire at arm's length, feeling its absence. True assumption becomes the desire, feeling its presence now. One hopes for a future, the other lives in a present reality. And finally, how do I deal with persistent negative thoughts or external circumstances that contradict my desire? You deal with them by immediately applying revision. You do not fight them, you simply reimagine them, turning your focus back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You acknowledge the external, but you do not consent to it. You persist in your chosen state, knowing the outer must yield. Final challenge choice tonight, you face a profound choice. Will you continue to live as a victim of circumstances, swayed by appearances, forever reacting to a world you believe is outside your control? Or will you embrace the divine truth revealed here today, step into your rightful place as the operant power, and consciously, deliberately, magnificently create the reality of your deepest desires? There is no middle ground. The choice is yours, and the power is within you always. Repeat a command, do not let this powerful understanding fade. Play this teaching again tomorrow. Return to these principles daily. Listen to my words until they are etched into the very fabric of your being. Absorb them, practice them, live them. For the truth I speak is not merely for hearing, but for doing. And in the doing, you will prove it for yourself, and your world will be transformed beyond all recognition. Now, let us delve deeper, for understanding imagination creates reality is only the threshold. To truly wield this power, especially concerning wealth, that persistent, aching desire for so many men who toil endlessly, you must grasp its most profound application, the energetic frequency of wealth. Wealth is not an external object to be pursued, a distant shore you must row tirelessly towards. No, wealth is an inner energetic state body. It is a resonance, a vibration within you that the universe cannot help but reflect. The world, being but your consciousness pushed out, merely presents to you the outer equivalent of your dominant inner feeling, your most deeply held assumption about prosperity. Let me give you a profound example, a glimpse into the mind of one of history's true wealth creators, Andrew Carnegie. His story is often told as one of relentless hard work, of iron and steel, of empire building through sheer force of will. But I tell you, his true genius lay elsewhere. He began with nothing, a poor immigrant. The external facts screamed scarcity, yet Carnegie did not merely wish for wealth, he assumed it as his inherent right. He saw himself as a conduit for vast enterprise, a source of industrial power, long before the physical evidence presented itself. He held a vision, a feeling of expansive prosperity, a certain resonance of immense capacity and resourcefulness within him. He operated from that state, not towards it. He often spoke of developing the money consciousness, not as a trick, but as an internal identity. He did not chase money. He felt its presence within the grand scheme of his imaginative ambition. This unwavering inner conviction, this energetic frequency of industrial dominion and financial abundance that he maintained, compelled the world to rearrange itself around him, drawing the right people, the right opportunities, the raw materials, the markets, all to manifest his assumed inner state. He didn't just get rich, he became rich, and the getting was a mere consequence. Here's the brutal truth most teachers won't tell you. Your subconscious mind is not just a filing cabinet for beliefs, it is an active broadcast tower. Every thought you entertain, every feeling you permit to linger, every assumption you make about your financial state, whether conscious or unconscious, emits a specific energetic frequency. If you constantly check your bank balance with a grimace, if you lie awake at 3 a.m. replaying conversations about client proposals with anxiety, If you feel that familiar knot of fear every time a bill arrives, you are not sending out the frequency of wealth. You are broadcasting lack. You are projecting scarcity. And the universe, as a faithful mirror, has no choice but to reflect that back to you. The precise energetic frequency of wealth is the naturalness of having, the feeling of security, of generosity, of ease, of abundant flow. Now, most men unconsciously block this frequency by constantly affirming its absence through their fearful feelings and assumptions. Most men believe they must do more, work harder, struggle longer to acquire wealth. They operate from the premise that money is finite and hard to come by, a prize to be won through brute force. But the man who understands the energetic frequency of wealth knows this is a profound misunderstanding. He knows that his effort is secondary, his state is primary. He cultivates the inner feeling of abundance, not as a desperate hope, but as an undeniable truth. He becomes the rich man within, and the outer world, like iron to a magnet, rushes to conform to his inner reality. He does not chase, he attracts. Stop. Hear these words carefully. Will you continue to emit the signal of scarcity, or will you shift your frequency and become a beacon for abundance? This brings us to a profound paradox, a truth that directly challenges the conventional wisdom about achieving financial success, the paradox of the chase. Most men are conditioned to believe that to acquire money, you must actively chase it. You must pursue deals, hunt opportunities, tirelessly network, and relentlessly push. You work 60-hour weeks, your shoulders ache from the constant effort, you feel perpetually behind, playing catch-up. This chase mentality, however, is the biggest mistake nearly everyone makes. It actively repels abundance by signaling to your subconscious, and thus to the universe, one thing and one thing only, lack. You only chase what you don't have. The very act of chasing reinforces the absence of your desire, creating a vibrational barrier to its manifestation. I recall a period in my own life, before Abdullah truly drilled these truths into me, when I found myself caught in this very trap concerning finances. I was working tirelessly, giving lectures, writing, trying to make ends meet and support my family. The more I strove, the more I felt the pinch of scarcity. I was chasing money, desperately trying to force it into my experience. My inner state was one of constant striving and anxiety about upcoming bills. Then Abdullah, in his direct and unwavering manner, looked at me and said, "Neville, why are you chasing shadows? You are the source. If you feel you must pursue it, you are confirming you do not have it." He challenged me to stop, to cease the frantic outward struggle and instead go to the end, to feel the relief, the security, the effortless flow of abundance. I imagined myself free from financial burden, not worrying about bills, but enjoying the freedom of generosity. I imagined my bank account reflecting abundant overflow. I ceased the mental chase and began to live, in imagination, from the state of already having. I rested in the certainty of the wish fulfilled. And as I did, the external world began to reconfigure itself. Unexpected invitations for lectures arrived, books I had written began to sell without active promotion, and opportunities simply presented themselves with ease. The money didn't come because I chased it. It flowed because I stopped chasing and instead became the state of its presence. Your subconscious mind interprets your actions and feelings as instructions. When you are frantically chasing money, checking your online banking app with dread, replaying client proposals with fear, you are giving your subconscious a clear directive. I do not have enough. I am in lack. This dominant internal state of chasing and lacking is what your subconscious then dutifully externalizes. It will continue to present you with situations that require you to chase, to struggle, to feel behind. However, when you stop the chase, when you consciously enter the feeling of abundance and rest in the certainty of your wish fulfilled, you send a new, powerful instruction. You are telling your subconscious, "This is done. I have it." This activates the flow. It's like releasing a tightly coiled spring. The energy, no longer bound by resistance, expands and expresses itself as manifested reality. You are no longer signaling lack, you are signaling possession. The biggest mistake is the chasing mentality itself, for it implies a power external to you that you must struggle to obtain. Most men are conditioned to believe that effort equals reward, that a direct correlation exists between their strenuous striving and their financial outcomes. They operate under the illusion that they are powerless unless they are constantly doing. They exhaust themselves, physically and mentally, only to find the financial freedom they crave remains elusive. But the man who understands the paradox of the chase knows that true power lies in aligning his inner state, not in endless outward exertion. He understands that stopping the chase is not inaction. It is a profound act of inner alignment. He knows that financial flow is activated when he embodies the state of abundance, allowing the universe to deliver it through the path of least resistance. He exchanges the aching shoulders of striving for the peaceful certainty of being. Now, let me tell you this. If you leave without understanding how to dissolve the deep-seated programs of scarcity, you will remain trapped, no matter how hard you work. This leads us directly to the money blueprint, your self-concept of prosperity. This is the core identity you hold, often unconsciously, regarding money and your capacity to attract and retain it. This blueprint dictates the ceiling of your financial reality. It's not about how much you want, but about how much you believe you are capable of receiving and holding. The painful truth is that many men, despite their desires, carry an unconscious money blueprint rooted in limitation, scarcity, and struggle, often inherited from childhood or societal conditioning. I had a student, a diligent man named John, who worked relentlessly in the construction business. He was good at what he did, but he always seemed to hit a financial ceiling. He'd make good money for a period, only to have unexpected expenses, projects fall through, or clients delay payments, bringing him right back to a state of barely getting by. He saw wealth as a constant uphill battle. I explained to him that his outward struggle was merely reflecting an inner blueprint. Thriving how prosperous he had become, I would not just see the letter. I would feel the texture of the paper, hear his voice as I read the words, and most importantly, I would feel the profound relief, the immense joy, the sheer certainty of his success, as if it were already a tangible fact. I immersed myself in this feeling until it felt utterly natural. I persisted in this mental act for several days, living from the assumption that my father was abundantly successful. And then, it happened. Not long after, I received a letter from Barbados. It wasn't the exact letter I had imagined, but the content was precisely what I had felt. My father wrote with great exuberance, detailing an unexpected turn of events, a sudden stroke of fortune in his business dealings that had not only pulled him out of his difficulties, but had propelled him into a state of immense prosperity. He had achieved the very success I had assumed for him. I had felt the state of his triumph, and the outer world conformed to that inner feeling, proving once more that the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret key to unlocking manifestation. Subconscious programming, the subconscious mind, communicates through sensation and emotion. When you generate a vivid, sustained feeling, joy, relief, satisfaction, gratitude, as though your desire is already a present reality, you are sending a clear, unequivocal command to your deeper mind. This emotional state bypasses the critical, analytical filters of the conscious mind and directly impresses the subconscious. The subconscious, being the creative power, then begins to arrange circumstances, inspire actions, and open doors in your physical world that perfectly mirror that felt state. It is like planting a seed. The intellectual concept of the seed is one thing, but the seed itself, imbued with the life-giving essence, is what grows. The feeling is that life-giving essence. It is the vibratory signature that tells the universe, this is done, this is real. Contrast trap, most men approach their desires from a place of intellectual wanting or hope. They think about what they want, they logically strategize how to get it, but they fail to embody the feeling of its possession. They might say, I want to be wealthy, but inwardly they feel the pinch of debt, the worry of scarcity. The feeling of lack, being the dominant emotion, is what ultimately manifests, but the man who knows this truth understands that thinking about a thing is not the same as thinking from it. He doesn't just think about wealth. He deliberately cultivates the feeling of being wealthy, the sense of security, generosity, and abundance that wealth implies right here, right now. He knows that feeling is not merely a consequence of events, it is the cause of events. Hear me now, the world is not creating your feelings are creating your world. This is an absolute truth, and once you grasp its implications, you will never again be a victim of circumstances. This affirmation isn't just words, it's a declaration of your divine authority. When you speak it, you're not just hoping for a change, you're calling forth your inherent power, asserting the truth of your being. It rewrites the core identity held within your subconscious. Say this with conviction, feel it resonate in your bones, let it be your undeniable truth. I am the master of my feelings. My inner state determines my outer reality. I consciously choose the feeling of my wish fulfilled, and so it is. Repeat this affirmation morning, midday, and night. Write it down. Speak it into a mirror. Let the vibration of these words permeate every cell of your being until this truth becomes undeniable to you. Feel the power as you declare it. Now we come to a principle that, when truly understood and applied, is nothing short of miraculous: revision. Most men believe the past is fixed, unchangeable, a series of immutable events that have shaped them into who they are. I tell you, this is a profound error. The past is as fluid and mutable as the future, for all of time is a living moment within the eternal now of God's consciousness, which is your consciousness. Revision is the art of consciously altering the past in your imagination, not to deny what seemingly happened, but to transform its meaning and its effects on your present and future. Story proof stack. I had a student, a young woman, who was constantly plagued by a lingering sense of resentment and failure stemming from a particular interaction with her employer. She had made a mistake, a minor one, but her employer had reacted harshly, publicly humiliating her. This event had, in her mind, cemented her as incompetent, colored her self-perception, and made her anxious in all subsequent work interactions. She spoke of it often, replaying the harsh words, feeling the shame. I explained to her the power of revision. I told her that the past is not dead, it lives only in our present imagination. If she continued to relive the negative event, she was simply perpetuating its existence and its influence. I instructed her to go into her imagination each night before sleep, and to replay that scene not as it had happened, but as she wished it had happened. Instead of the harsh words, I told her to imagine her employer speaking kindly, understandingly, perhaps even offering encouragement, seeing the mistake as a learning opportunity. She was to feel the relief, the respect, the appreciation that such an interaction would have evoked. She was to revise the dialogue, the tone, the entire emotional atmosphere of that past event until the new version felt utterly real and satisfying. She applied this diligently. Within a week, she came back to me, beaming. Not only had her anxiety vanished, but her relationship with her employer had inexplicably shifted. Her employer began to treat her with newfound respect and support, as if the original harsh interaction had never occurred. Furthermore, opportunities for advancement began to appear, as her self-perception of competence was restored and magnified. The past was not merely forgotten, it was redeemed and repurposed through the power of her imagination. Subconscious programming. Your subconscious mind does not possess a linear concept of time. It registers experiences, whether real or imagined, as present realities. When you revise a past event, you are not simply performing a psychological trick. You are literally re-editing a portion of your personal history held within the living memory of your consciousness. By changing the meaning and feeling of a past event, you change its energetic imprint. This altered imprint then filters forward, influencing your present circumstances and your future manifestations. If you revise a past perceived failure into a triumph, you are replacing the failure blueprint with a triumph blueprint in the very fabric of your being. This new blueprint then becomes the pattern that reality must follow. It dissolves the old, negative associations and liberates you from their continuing influence, setting you free to create a new. Contrast trap. Most men are imprisoned by their past. They lament past mistakes, nurse old grievances, and endlessly recount tales of what should have been or what went wrong. They believe these past events are solid, fixed realities that define their present limitations. This constant recreation of a negative past in their imagination ensures its perpetuation. But the man who understands the law of revision knows that the past is merely a shadow projected from his current state. He does not dwell on regret. Instead, he consciously chooses to reimagine, to rewrite, to refeel any moment that does not serve his highest good. He knows that by transforming the past in his mind, he is simultaneously transforming his present and ensuring a more desirable future. He becomes the author of his own story, not just a reader. This is not just looking on the bright side. His is a fundamental principle that challenges everything you thought you knew about time and destiny. You thought your past was set in stone, didn't you? What if I told you it's merely a recording you can edit at will? The fourth principle, a profoundly effective technique for impressing the subconscious, is the state akin to sleep, or SATS. This is the optimal state for imaginative activity because, in this semi-conscious condition, the conscious, critical mind is largely deactivated and the subconscious is most receptive to suggestion. You are neither fully awake nor fully asleep, but in that glorious twilight state where imagination becomes vividly real and the seeds of desire are most powerfully planted. It is the bridge between your conscious intention and your subconscious fulfillment. Story-proof stack. I frequently used SATS for my own desires and taught it extensively. I remember a specific occasion when I desired a certain apartment in a particular part of New York City. The apartment I desired seemed beyond my financial reach at the time, and the available options were quite limited. I applied the SATS method rigorously. Every night as I laid in bed, allowing my body to relax and my mind to quiet, I would enter that drowsy, semi-conscious state. Once there, I would vividly imagine myself in that desired apartment. I would feel the texture of the carpet under my feet, see the view from the window, feel the warmth of the radiator, and arrange the furniture mentally. I would specifically imagine lying in the bed in that apartment, feeling the comfort, the peace, the absolute certainty of living there. The key was to make the experience so real, so natural, that it felt as if I were actually there, falling asleep in that very bed. I did not force it, I simply immersed myself in the feeling of being there. I persisted in this for several nights. One morning, quite unexpectedly, I received a call. It was from a real estate agent whom I had previously spoken with but who had given me no hope. He informed me that, by some extraordinary stroke of luck, the very apartment I had been imagining had just become available, at a price I could miraculously afford due to a unique circumstance of the previous tenant. The terms were perfect, the location ideal. I secured it within days. The state akin to sleep had allowed my imagination to bypass the logical mind and directly impress the subconscious with the accomplished fact, compelling the outer world to conform. Subconscious programming. In the SATS state, your brainwave patterns shift from beta waking to alpha and theta relaxed, meditative, drowsy. In these states, the gatekeeper of your conscious mind, which often filters and resists new ideas, temporarily steps aside. This allows direct access to your subconscious mind, which is the realm of pure creation. When you imagine with feeling in SATS, your subconscious accepts these sensory impressions as instructions, not as mere fantasies. It is in this fertile ground that your intentions take root most deeply, rapidly growing into physical manifestations. You are literally speaking directly to the creative intelligence within you, unburdened by doubt or logical objection. It is a state of supreme receptivity, where the inner and outer worlds most easily merge. Contrast trap. Most men, when trying to manifest, either engage in strenuous effort in their fully conscious state, battling doubt and external facts, or they simply hope and pray without truly entering the feeling of the wish fulfilled. They attempt to force their will, which only creates resistance, or they remain intellectually detached, never fully impressing the subconscious. But the man who understands SATS knows that the greatest power lies in surrender and relaxation. He doesn't wrestle with reality, he gently persuades it in the receptive, drowsy state. He understands that conscious effort often hinders, while effortless assumption in the proper state accelerates. He seeks not to do to get, but to be to have. Have you ever wondered why your deepest dreams often emerge from the silence of your heart, not the clamor of your thoughts? This is the secret. In the next few minutes, I will show you precisely how to harness this power to reshape your entire life. This is a process affirmation designed to integrate the power of the SATS state into your daily practice, making manifestation a natural, effortless flow. It affirms not just the outcome, but the powerful method you are employing. Speak it softly, with an inner knowing, especially as you prepare for sleep. My calm surrender into the state akin to sleep allows my desires to effortlessly imprint upon my subconscious. This quiet mind creates my abundant reality with grace and ease. Repeat this affirmation as you settle into bed each night before you begin your imaginative act. Let it be the gentle prelude to your creative session. Feel the peace and certainty it brings, knowing you are actively participating in your own creation. Now, for a truth that might shake the very foundations of what you believe about power and control. You are the operant power. There is no other God, no other force, no other authority outside of your own wonderful human imagination. Every circumstance, every person, every event in your life is a manifestation of your own assumed state, your own inner concept of yourself. There is no external power to praise or to blame, no independent entity to appease or to fear. You are the sole cause of everything you experience. This is not a burden, it is the ultimate liberation. Story proof stack. I remember a young man who came to me utterly distraught. He was a talented artist, but he felt perpetually blocked, unable to secure commissions or gain recognition. He was convinced that a particular art critic, a very influential man in the city, held a personal grudge against him and was actively sabotaging his career. He saw this critic everywhere, in articles, at galleries, and felt the man's negative energy constantly. He felt powerless, a victim of this external force. I listened patiently, then I told him, "My friend, there is no one to change but self. You are the operant power. This critic you speak of, this external force, is merely a reflection of a state you are embodying." He resisted at first, unwilling to give up his story of victimhood, but I pressed him to reconsider. I challenged him to shift his internal conversation. I instructed him to stop thinking of the critic as an enemy, and instead, to assume the state of being a celebrated artist, respected by all, even by this particular critic. I told him to imagine receiving glowing reviews from this very critic, to feel the joy and validation that would come from such recognition. He was to assume that the critic admired his work, championed his talent. He dedicated himself to this task daily. He focused solely on his own feeling of being a brilliant, recognized artist. Within weeks, the external world began to shift. He stopped encountering the critic in negative ways. Then, to his utter astonishment, the very critic he had once demonized wrote a surprisingly positive, albeit understated, review of his latest work, something that was entirely out of character based on the man's previous reputation. The young artist realized he had been projecting his own fear and self-doubt onto the critic, and when he changed his inner state, the external reflection had to change. He was the operant power all along. Subconscious programming. Your consciousness is the one and only reality. Everything you perceive in the external world is but a projection, a reflection, a witness to the state of consciousness you are currently occupying. The universe does not exist independently of your perception. It is your perception. Therefore, when I say you are the operant power, I mean that your internal state, your dominant assumptions, your self-concept, are literally creating and sustaining your entire manifest world. There is no independent other acting upon you. There is only you acting through all seemingly external agents. The concept of separate individuals is an illusion of the senses. We are all deeply interconnected parts of the one consciousness. Change the internal blueprint, and the external structure must reflect it. This is not mystical. It is simply how the universe works. Contrast trap. Most men are constantly seeking external validation, external help, external solutions. They believe that if only they could change their boss, their spouse, their government, their circumstances, then their lives would improve. They endlessly try to manipulate the outside world, blaming external factors for their misfortunes and crediting outside luck for their successes. They are slaves to appearances, always reacting to what is. But the man who understands he is the operant power never seeks to change the outside directly. He knows that such attempts are futile. He directs all his efforts inward, knowing that by changing his concept of self, by assuming the state of his wish fulfilled, the entire external world, including all individuals within it, must conform to his new assumption. He knows he is not a victim of circumstances, he is the architect of them. There are two more secrets I must share with you, which will tie all of this together and reveal the final piece of the puzzle. Do not dare to leave before you understand how your self-concept influences everyone around you. This is a powerful command affirmation, an assertion of your divine authority and creative omnipotence. It is designed to deeply embed the truth that you are the sole source of your reality. Speak it with unwavering conviction, like a king declaring his decree. I command my reality into being. My imagination is the only authority. I am the operant power, and my will is law within my world. Proclaim this whenever you feel doubt creeping in, whenever you feel disempowered by external events. Use it to reaffirm your sovereignty. Let it be the roar of your inner lion, silencing all fear and external illusion. This principle is a direct consequence of being the operant power. There is no one to change but self. This means that every person you encounter, every friend, foe, loved one, or stranger, is merely reflecting back to you your own concept of them, and ultimately, your own concept of yourself. They are but yourself pushed out, outer manifestations of your inner beliefs and assumptions. When you desire a change in another person or in your relationship with them, the only effective path is to change your own perception and assumption about that person. Attempting to directly change another is a fruitless endeavor, for they are simply playing the part you have assigned them in the drama of your consciousness. Story proof stack. I had a very dear friend who, for many years, was quite ill-tempered and often spoke harshly to me, even when I tried to offer him kindness or support. His negativity was a constant source of frustration and, frankly, hurt. I found myself frequently dreading our interactions, steeling myself for his usual sharp remarks. I applied the principle of no one to change but self. Instead of focusing on his bad temper or trying to logically convince him to change, I went inward. Every time I thought of him, instead of recalling his harsh words, I would consciously assume him to be a kind, gentle, and loving man. In my imagination, I would engage in mental conversations with him where he spoke to me with warmth and respect, where he expressed gratitude and affection. I didn't try to change him, I changed my perception of him. I saw him as the person I wished him to be, not as the person he seemingly was. I would fall asleep at night, feeling the reality of this new, wonderful relationship with him. I persisted in this new assumption. Within a few weeks, a remarkable transformation occurred. My friend, without any external prompting from me, began to soften. His harsh words ceased. He started speaking to me with genuine kindness, expressing appreciation and displaying a tenderness I had never before witnessed. He became the very person I had assumed him to be. It was not he who changed, but my concept of him that shifted, and he, being myself pushed out, simply conformed to my new inner image. Subconscious programming, the external world and everyone in it, acts as a mirror to your dominant inner states. If you hold an assumption that a person is difficult, unsupportive, or critical, your subconscious mind, in its infinite wisdom, will orchestrate events and interactions to validate that assumption. The other person will unconsciously play the role you have assigned them. Your brain, through its neural networks, reinforces these internal models of others. However, when you deliberately shift your internal assumption about someone, creating a new, desirable perception of them, you are literally giving your subconscious a new blueprint. This new blueprint then projects outward, and the individual, being unable to resist the dictates of the operant power, which is your consciousness, must conform to your revised perception. They become the person you perceive them to be, reflecting your internal change. Contrast trap. Most men waste immense energy attempting to fix, persuade, or coerce others into changing. They engage in arguments, try to reason with people, or attempt to manipulate situations, always from the mistaken belief that the other person is an independent entity acting upon them. This approach invariably leads to frustration, resentment, and a perpetuation of the very behaviors they wish to change. But the man who understands no one to change but self knows that the external battle is always a reflection of an internal one. He realizes that if he desires a different interaction, a different relationship, he must first change his own assumption about the other person. He looks inward, works on his own self-concept and his perception of others, knowing that the outer world must then rearrange itself to match his internal transformation. He becomes the change he wishes to see, first within himself, then everywhere else. By the time you finish this, you will understand why every struggle you've had with others was entirely of your own making and how to instantly turn those relationships into exactly what you desire. This is far more profound than you can imagine. This declaration affirms your complete control over your interpersonal reality, recognizing that all relationships are ultimately a reflection of your own internal state. Speak it with calm authority, knowing that you are shaping your world with every utterance. I declare harmony in all my relationships. I see only the divine in others, and they reflect my inner peace and love. There is no one to change but myself. Use this affirmation before engaging in any important interaction or whenever you feel tension in a relationship. Let it be your conscious intention, setting the tone for your experience. Finally, we arrive at the overarching, ultimate truth that encompasses all others. Imagination creates reality. This is not a metaphor. It is the absolute, literal truth of existence. The physical world you perceive with your senses is not the primary reality. It is merely a shadow, a manifestation, a materialized dream of your own inner, imaginative activity. Your imagination is God, the sole creative power, and through it, you are perpetually bringing forth your world. Every object, every person, every event, every circumstance, all are born from the womb of imagination, first as a conception, then as a feeling, and finally as a tangible expression. Story proof stack. Many years ago, I fell gravely ill. It was a severe form of pneumonia, and my doctors, in their medical opinion, gave me a very bleak prognosis. I was confined to my bed, weak, feverish, and the extern. All facts screamed of impending doom. A lesser man would have succumbed to the despair and accepted the medical diagnosis as his inevitable fate, but I knew the power of imagination. I knew that my physical body, like everything else, was simply an externalization of my inner state. Instead of dwelling on the symptoms, instead of accepting the doctor's words as final, I consciously turned inward. I began, in my imagination, to feel myself perfectly well. I imagined the feeling of my strong, healthy body, the sensation of moving freely, the joy of a deep, unimpeded breath. I vividly imagined myself walking, vibrant and alive, on the streets of New York, feeling the brisk air, seeing the familiar sights. I focused entirely on the feeling of perfect health, the assumption that I was well, not that I would be well. I persisted in this imaginative act, every waking moment I could muster the energy for, and especially as I drifted into the state akin to sleep. I completely ignored the physical evidence, the fever, the pain, the prognosis. I lived from the end of perfect health, and what happened? Miraculously, to the astonishment of my physicians, I made a rapid and complete recovery. I walked out of that sickbed not just cured, but stronger than before. My imagination, by creating the feeling of reality, had utterly transformed my physical condition. It was undeniable proof that imagination creates reality. Subconscious programming, your imagination is not a part of you. It is you in your truest, divine essence. It is the very creative power of God. The physical universe is a responsive medium, a mirror that has no choice but to reflect what your imagination impresses upon it. When you vividly imagine a state and impress it with feeling, you are literally giving form and substance to an idea in the spiritual realm. This idea then, by the law of its own being, must descend into the physical world and become manifest. The electrical impulses in your brain, the firing of neurons as you imagine, are not merely internal events, they are creative acts, shaping the very fabric of spacetime. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between an actual experience and an experience vividly and intensely imagined. It sends the same signals, prepares the body and the environment in the same way. Thus, what you imagine, you literally begin to embody and therefore create in your physical experience. Contrast trap: most men live in a state of reaction. They look at the external world, at the facts, and allow these appearances to dictate their inner state. If their bank account is low, they feel poor. If their body is ill, they feel sick. They believe they are merely responding to an objective, fixed reality. They are perpetually imprisoned by appearances, always trying to change the outside without realizing the inside is the cause. But the man who understands that imagination creates reality knows that the external world is never the cause, it is always the effect. He does not react to facts, he creates them. He goes beyond what his senses tell him, enters into his own divine imagination, and there he conceives and feels the reality he desires. He understands that this inner act is the only true cause, and the outer manifestation must follow. He is not a creature of circumstances, he is the creator of them. Direct address interrupt. Listen to me carefully. This is the single most important truth you will ever encounter. Ignore it at your peril, or embrace it and become the master of your destiny. This final command affirmation is your ultimate declaration of power, uniting all the principles into a singular, irrefutable truth. Speak it with the full weight of your being, knowing that you are invoking the very power of God within you. I am the architect of my destiny. My imagination is boundless. My power is infinite. I create my reality precisely as I envision it, and my desires manifest now. Declare this with every fiber of your being. Especially when you feel the pull of old beliefs or external doubts, let it be your battle cry, your unwavering commitment to your own divine creative power. Now, we stand at the precipice of true understanding. You have seen the principles, you have heard the proof. The time has come to put this immutable wisdom into immediate, powerful action. You are no longer a passive observer. You are the deliberate architect of your life. Implementation ritual: here's exactly how to apply these 7 powerful principles, starting tonight, to effortlessly manifest your desires and bring forth tangible results within 30 days or less. This is not a suggestion. It is a ritual of creation. One, define your desire precisely. Do not be vague. What exactly do you want? See it, hear it, touch it in your mind. This is the seed. 2, determine the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would be the natural, spontaneous feeling if you already possessed this desire right now? Is it relief, joy, peace, security? This feeling is your emotional compass. 3, craft your imaginative scene. Create a brief, simple scene in your mind that implies the fulfillment of your desire. It should be a sensory experience, seeing what you would see, hearing what you would hear, feeling what you would feel. It must be something you would naturally experience after your desire has materialized. For example, if it's money, don't imagine counting it, imagine paying a bill with ease or seeing your bank balance. If it's a relationship, imagine them speaking kindly to you. 4, enter the state akin to sleep. SATS, lie down in your bed, relax your body completely. Allow your mind to drift into that drowsy, semi-conscious state just before you fall asleep. This is your most fertile ground. 5, perform the imaginative act. In SATS, replay your chosen scene over and over, looping it, feeling it as real. Immerse yourself completely. Taste it, smell it, touch it, hear it, feel the joy, relief, or gratitude of its completion. Do not analyze or question, simply feel it as done. 6, persist until naturalness. Continue this nightly and ideally throughout your day whenever your mind drifts, until the feeling of having your desire becomes utterly natural and normal to you. You are assuming the state. 7, revise any contradictions. Should any external circumstance or past memory contradict your assumed state, immediately apply the principle of revision. In your imagination, rewrite the memory or perception of the external fact to align with your desired outcome. Do not dwell on the negative. 8, live from the end. Throughout your day, whenever you remember, consciously return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Act as if it is already done. assume the attitude of possession. This confirms you are the operant power and that there is no one to change but self. Timeline promise: by diligently following this ritual, by consistently impressing your subconscious with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will begin to see tangible shifts in your reality. Within 30 days or less, you will notice unexpected opportunities appearing, people coming into your life, or circumstances aligning in miraculous ways to bring your desire into being. The universe has no choice but to conform to your internal instruction. Some desires will manifest in days, others in a few weeks, but all, I assure you, within this time frame, if your application is true. Belief challenges resolved: you may have come here believing it's just positive thinking, not real change. But now you understand that positive thinking is merely superficial, without the feeling and the assumption that impresses the subconscious. You know this is not mere thought, but creative spiritual law in action. You thought, I'm not strong enough to control my thoughts. But you have learned that control comes not through struggle, but through conscious direction and entering the receptive state of SATS, where effort is minimized and impression is maximized. You